There are approximately 400 dog breeds worldwide. And when scientists needed one single dog to anchor the entire genetic history of every last one of them, they didn't pick the German Shepherd. They didn't pick the Labrador. They picked a small, cat-like African dog that most people have never even heard of. And that's actually the least strange thing about it. This is about the Basenji, the dog scientists keep stumbling over every time they try to understand where dogs came from. Most people know the one-liner. It doesn't bark. But the real story goes so much deeper than that, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand something about this breed that even most Basenji owners don't know. We're going to cover 6 genuine mysteries. Things researchers have studied, sequenced, and debated. And the last one is the one that quietly breaks the whole model of how we think dog breeds work. So, stay with me. Let's start with the one that hits hardest if you care about dogs at all. Mystery number 2 on our list, and the one that earns trust fast, is what happened to the Basenji in Britain in the 1920s. A group of Basenjis were imported into the UK, which was a big deal at the time because almost nobody in the Western world had seen one. They were exotic, ancient, and rare. And then they were given a distemper vaccine. The vaccine was new. The intention was good, but unlike modern versions, this early formulation could actually revert and become virulent, meaning it could cause the very disease it was designed to prevent. The entire imported group died, not from distemper caught in the wild, from the shot meant to protect them. That single event set the Western breeding program back by years, and is part of why what comes next matters so much. Because of losses like that, only around 71 Basenjis were ever exported from Africa into the registered breeding population that produced most Basenjis alive in the West today. 71 dogs. For a breed this ancient, that is a shockingly small genetic starting point, and it means that essentially every Basenji you've ever seen at a dog show, in a park, or in a YouTube video almost certainly traces back to that tiny group. Scientists call this a founder effect, and it creates genetic ripples that are still being studied right now. Which brings us to mystery number 3, and this one gets genuinely weird. Research indicates that the Basenji's ancestors mated with Middle Eastern and North African wolves within the last 10,000 years, and it left a lasting legacy in the Basenji's genes. Now, here's why that's strange. Dogs and wolves evolved from a common ancestor somewhere between 9,000 and 34,000 years ago, before humans transitioned to agricultural societies. So most breeds had already split cleanly from wolves by then. But the Basenji line didn't stay clean. It went back. And the evidence of that reunion is still sitting in the DNA of every Basenji alive today. The most frequent male lineage of Basenjis, traced using the Y chromosome, is very different from that of other domestic dogs, probably due to the genetic contribution of those early wolves. That's mystery number 4, the paternal bloodline. If you ran a Y chromosome comparison between a Basenji and almost any other breed, the Basenji would look like an outlier. Not a little different, dramatically different. Scientists believe that more recent wolf interbreeding event is exactly why the Basenji's male line essentially got rewritten. Now, halfway through, I want to come back to something I mentioned at the start. The reason scientists chose the Basenji above every other breed for something massive. We'll get there. But first, here's the one that might change how you feed your dog. Mystery number 5 is about a gene called AMY2B. Researchers found differences across dog breeds and wolves in the number of AMY2B genes that help digest starch, and recent studies suggested this gene was critical to domestication, allowing early dogs living near humans to adapt to an agricultural diet. Most dog breeds picked up extra copies of this gene as they lived alongside farming humans. Some breeds ended up with dramatically more copies than wolves. But the research team found that while most dog breeds had high numbers of amylase genes, those not associated with agrarian societies, like the Siberian Husky and Dingo, did not. The Basenji falls into that same category. Low copy number is an exceptional situation in present-day dogs and is only found in lineages associated with recent nomadic hunter-gatherers, such as the Dingo and the Siberian Husky and the Basenji. The implication is significant. This breed evolved largely outside of agricultural society. While other dogs were hanging around farms, eating grain scraps and slowly rewiring their digestion, the Basenji was still in the jungle, hunting. Its gut never got the memo. And speaking of hunting, mystery number 6 before we get to the big one. Ancient hunters in Central Africa didn't just use Basenjis to hunt. They tracked them using wooden bells fitted with monkey bones as clappers, strapped directly to the dogs. Because the Basenji doesn't bark, hunters had no audio signal to follow through dense vegetation. The bell was the solution. A silent dog with a bell around its neck, moving through the jungle. And here's the thing. Basenjis are considered an ancient dog breed of Central African origins that still live and hunt with tribesmen in the African Congo today. And nicknamed the barkless dog, they possess unique phylogeny, geographical origins, and traits. This isn't a historical footnote. In parts of the Congo, this hunting method is still used. The breed hasn't changed. The method hasn't changed. The dog that's sitting on someone's couch in London right now is genetically almost identical to the one that was wearing a bone clapper bell 3,000 years ago. Which finally brings us back to mystery number 1, the one I've been holding since the beginning. The genome sequence of the Basenji dog could have a big impact on the understanding of dog evolution, domestication, and canine genetic diseases. The Basenji, also known as the barkless dog, is an ancient African dog breed which still lives and hunts with tribesmen in the African Congo. Researchers say the genome of the Basenji, which sits at the base of the dog breed family tree, makes an excellent unbiased reference for future comparisons between dog breeds and evolutionary analysis of dogs. Think about what that means. An international study led by UNSW researchers mapped one of the most intact and complete dog genomes ever generated. And the animal they chose as the master reference point for all of it was the Basenji. Not the most popular breed, not the most studied breed, the one that diverged earliest, changed the least, and kept the closest genetic record of what a dog looked like before humans started aggressively reshaping them. By establishing genome resources for more ancient dog breeds, scientists can explore genetic adaptations, perhaps unique to the modern dog breeds. The Basenji is essentially the control group for the entire experiment of dog domestication. So, here's where we land. You started this video knowing the Basenji doesn't bark. You're ending it knowing that it nearly went extinct because of a vaccine, that its male bloodline looks nothing like other dogs because it mated with wolves more recently than almost any other breed, that it never evolved the starch digestion upgrade most dogs carry, that ancient hunters tracked it through the jungle with bone bells, and that scientists chose it, out of every breed on Earth, as the genetic anchor for understanding all the rest. The barkless dog was never just a quirky pet trivia answer. It's one of the most scientifically significant animals on the planet, and almost nobody knows it. If you've got a Basenji or you've ever owned one, drop a comment. I genuinely want to know if any of this matched what you've seen in real life. Subscribe if you're new, because this is exactly the kind of thing we discuss here.